Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. These webinars, I just want to remind you that they're going to take place each month, and they're aimed to highlight topics of interest that are geared toward families and individuals. With October being recognized as National Disability Employment Awareness Month, we naturally decided to focus on employment factors for people with developmental disabilities this time. As Kat shared, Sandy Kaiser, Employment First Specialist, is going to join us today and talk more about the division's focus on employment and the broad range of services and supports that are available to people who are seeking employment or might just be beginning to plan for employment. When thinking about employment, it's easy to automatically reflect back on that old question that almost everyone gets asked: what do you want to do when you grow up? That question continues to be relevant throughout our lives as we get ready to graduate from high school, go into the workforce, or as we continue pursuing education, or when we're even looking for different employment opportunities over time. People really begin thinking about employment at an early age in a roundabout way without even knowing it. In fact, aren't we always planning for futures and our futures in some capacity? We're always planning for our lives. We plan for our life after graduation. We pursue employment opportunities, we plan for retirement, and the list goes on. People with disabilities are no exception. Plans might be a little different, but planning and preparation is critical just the same. Parents and families actually start planting the seeds for employment when they start giving their children chores and responsibilities around the house, working on skills such as learning how to follow directions, meeting expectations, being motivated, following a schedule, staying on task, and taking on responsibilities. So the bottom line, planning is absolutely key for all of us. So for this webinar today, our objectives are to share information and resources with you that will help jumpstart your plan for employment. We're planning to share information about initiatives that drive employment for the division, talk about the tools and perspectives to help plan for employment, accessing employment services, and then looking at resources that can assist you in the process. To get us started, we're first going to guide you to where the employment pages, reside. I may have skipped. We lost a slide there. Oh dear, this is the wrong PowerPoint. I'm sorry.
Give me a moment. This was the one that Heike sent.
Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I sent you a new one this morning, Kat.
Okay, give me one moment, please.
Okay. Right, we're back in flow. Thanks everybody for being patient. The first thing we wanted to do was make sure you guys knew where to navigate to find the employment information on the DD's web pages. So we put this together. Where do you find employment? First, you go to dmh.mo.gov, click on developmental disabilities, go down to the popular sections, and click on the Employment Initiatives tab. And that's where you're going to find most of the information that Sandy and I are going to share with you today. All right, so Sandy, if you're ready, we'll go ahead and start talking about some of the initiatives.
All right. So now what you're seeing a screenshot of what that page looks like when you click on the employment initiatives from our employment page. So that Empowering Through Employment is really designed to help encourage the use of employment services to help individuals achieve employment outcomes. We know from our own National Core Indicator surveys that 40% of individuals currently with waiver funding, so currently with a Partnership for Hope, Community Support, Comprehensive Waiver, that are not employed in a competitive integrated setting have said, hey, this is what I'd like. So 40% of individuals already with waiver funding and not employed in a competitive integrated employment setting have said, That's the outcome I would like. So our Empowering Through Employment initiative is really to ramp up that engagement, those discussions, to help coordinate those employment supports for individuals to achieve the employment outcomes they want. With our Employment First, that is a contract that we have with the Institute for Community Inclusion to really build up the capacity of our service providers. So we have currently 2 training associates hired through the Institute for Community Inclusion. They are both located physically here in the state of Missouri, and they go work directly with our service providers to help them understand those best practices in delivering employment services. Our Missouri Employment First Collaborative is a multi-state collaboration to work on certain priorities to increase employment. So some of the things that we've been working on with state agencies such as vocational rehabilitation, rehab services for the blind, and others include customized employment, benefits planning, Missouri as a model employer, and just that state agency collaboration, working together, leveraging our resources to make an impact. And then that State Employment Leadership Network, this is basically a multi-state membership. So there are over 30 states that are members of the State Employment Leadership Network, and we share best practices across states. You know, what is each state doing to increase employment? We get guidance from the Institute for Community Inclusion, as well as the National Association of State DD Directors. So it really provides us a lot of useful information to kind of then do systems change to increase employment. So if you want to go on to the next.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for all that too. That's interesting information to see how we kind of got our initiatives in place to be an employment first state. So before we get into the services piece, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the planning. And a quick reminder that folks that are receiving services from the division, and if those folks that have an individual support plan in place, employment should be a topic area that comes up for discussion when you're having your meeting with your planning team and your support coordinator. So those should be questions that you should be being asked by your support coordinator when you have your monthly meetings and when you have your annual plan meetings. So moving on.
All right. So one of the things that we know is a big concern of individuals and their families is that balancing the work and public benefits. So how to have that good life, how to be more financially self-sufficient, but still retain the supports that one might need. So keeping that Medicaid waiver active. So from our website, when you click on that balancing work and public benefits, this is what you see. So basically, this allows individuals to access additional tools such as that Missouri DB 101. So MoDB 101. And you can access this through the resources available through the Division of Developmental Disabilities. So that first drop-down box. With that second box, the resources and supports available through Social Security, individuals can go to Social Security's Choose Work website. And basically from there, you can learn about success stories. So learn about others who have navigated utilizing those work incentives to become more self-sufficient. You can also learn more about what those work incentives are. You can utilize a tool to determine one's readiness to take that step and use Social Security's Ticket to Work program. So, and you could also, one thing that's really a major question for a lot of people is, how do I report those wages? So from that site, you can learn about, okay, what do I need to know about reporting the wages? So under the opportunities to save money, that last drop-down menu, individuals can learn more about ABLE accounts. So I think an email just went out from the state treasurer regarding the importance of ABLE accounts for individuals with disabilities and being able to have a little bit more financial security. So that ABLE account, so understanding what an ABLE account is, what you can do with an ABLE account, how do you open an ABLE account, those are also very important questions. And again, you can access that through that third drop-down box, that opportunities to save money without impacting Social Security or Medicaid. So also the latest news. So Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services recently approved our waiver renewal application. So now the division can offer benefits planning as a standalone service, which is the great segue to the next topic, I believe, on talking about our employment services.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so now that somebody's got an idea and developing a plan for employment, curiosity is they want to know what the next step is. How do they find services that's going to help them begin working on that plan?
So once you click on employment services, what do you see? So kind of that first drop-down menu, that what are those employment services, is a brief overview of the employment services we offer. So kind of a brief statement about what is career planning, what is it intended to do, what do you do in pre-vocational, what's the intention of that service, what about job development or supported employment? So it's just a brief 1 or 2 sentence description of each of those services. So then the next logical question is like, okay, well, who can provide these? Where do I go? So that next drop-down menu, the employment services, talks about the training requirements. So we require an additional layer of training for those employment service providers above and beyond what we require of all service agencies or all direct support professionals. So specifically with employment services, we're looking that individuals have gone through some basic training. So at least 14 hours of initial training on those best practices in delivering employment services. We're looking at that there was some on-the-job mentoring. So it's not just taking a course, but they've gotten some hands-on guidance in actually providing the services, and that they're keeping up to date so that they're continuing to expand their knowledge and learn more about best practices each year. So those are the minimum training requirements. Then from there, you might want to know, okay, who provides that service in my area? So going to where can I find an employment service provider then provides you to links for maps of certain regional offices. So for example, if you live in the Raleigh area, you might click on that Raleigh region map, and then it will show all the counties served by Raleigh Regional, and it will list each of the employment service providers by that county. So for example, you could look at Phelps County and you could see who are the employment service providers in Phelps County. So then the next one, what if I cannot find a service provider in my area? Now, what we know right now, you guys have probably heard about staffing shortages in a number of different companies. Our service providers are no different than those other companies. They too are experiencing staffing shortages. So it may be very well that you contact one of those agencies listed under that county and you're told, we can't help you right now. We don't have the capacity to meet that need right now. So sometimes it might take, just keep coming back and asking because, hopefully things will change. But it might also mean working with your support coordinator or others, just kind of going, okay, what's another way? How else can I get this need met? So it just, sometimes it takes that team approach to kind of really problem solve and come up with other options. And then that last one, how do I request that employment service? Again, it's kind of talking about working with your support coordinator to complete the paperwork necessary. But then what you'll see is you'll see an option for employment exploratory questions. So you can go to that to kind of get yourself thinking about some questions to ask to even figure out what employment services might I need. So Lisa, do we want to go on?
Yeah, that's a perfect segue to the resource section. That's one of the things that families and individuals have told us routinely over and over, that they need access to relevant information and accurate resources, things that will help them navigate through life to make life more successful. And that includes employment. So what kind of resources, Sandy, do we have on our website for families and individuals around employment?
So, great question. So when you look on that page and then you click on that first drop down box, that first drop down menu for resources for individuals and families, what you see is there's 3 links to some outside resources. One is a career planning guide. This was created by the Missouri DD Council. And it is a great tool for exploring what somebody's interests and abilities are, trying to kind of figure out, ooh, what kind of jobs, what kind of industries align with this person's interests and abilities, and also kind of explore a little bit more about what do we know about their support needs, or what do we know about their needed conditions for employment. As we mentioned earlier, for some individuals, there is that balance of work and maintaining those government benefits. So kind of knowing a little bit about that it's like, okay, a needed condition might be that we have to keep the income at a certain level so that this person could still maintain their eligibility for those Social Security benefits and or those Medicaid benefits. So knowing about that, sometimes transportation. So we know it doesn't matter where you live in the state of Missouri. Transportation is an issue for everyone. So, sometimes when you're having to rely on others for transportation, that might mean it's like, okay, that transportation is going to be available at certain times or along certain routes. So knowing those limitations or those needed conditions, as I often refer them to, can help in kind of going, okay, what kind of job or where are we looking for a job to help this person? So the other thing that the career planning guide really helps to look at is looking at what does that support network look like? So we know that 70% of jobs are never advertised. You won't find them doing an internet search or looking through want ads or going door to door through a business community. You're just not going to see it advertised. It's usually who you know and being at the right place at the right time, knowing the right person, hearing the right scuttlebutt at the right time. So helping individuals to kind of explore who's my network, who's available to help me find out about these hidden jobs, or who can help get my foot in the door, connect me with the right people so that I'm getting that interview that I need. So that career planning guide can really be great, useful tool in that. There's also another tool called that Journey to Life after high school. So again, just another resource to help people kind of explore and look at things. And then of course, those charting the life course tools, which are really beneficial at any age, not just those transition age or working age, but really looking at those young children and what experiences they need to have to be on that trajectory for successful employment later on in life. So the other one, the tip sheets, and I think the next slide has the tip sheets on it. So you got it. All right. So the tip sheets. So under the tip sheets, this is where individuals can get a lot of ideas under different topics for strategies to help them with employment. So that career pathways, helping individuals to kind of figure out what's the process, what are the resources available that can help me explore what careers align with my interest, my abilities, and my needed conditions. Of course, managing those benefits. So kind of understanding what are the rules, what are the things I have to keep in mind if I'm trying to have that balance between work income and maintaining those government benefits. Self-determination. We know that is so important in so many aspects of life, just not employment, but it's also very important in employment. So being able to speak up and direct the supports you need, not only of your service providers, but of managers, co-workers. So, which also goes to that job accommodations, understanding what accommodations are available. How do I learn about these accommodations? How do I set them up? Talking about self-employment as an option. We often think of employment as going to work for somebody else, but there's many Americans that their ideal of employment is working for themselves. So helping individuals with disabilities to explore the same outcomes, the same choices as all other Americans. Those soft skills. So tips and strategies for how do we develop those soft skills? We know that more often than not, that's what hurts people in employment. It's not being able to do the actual job tasks. It's all the other things that are expected of good employees. So, and then that last one is kind of, how do I use volunteering to help me with employment? How can I use it strategically to help me achieve the employment outcome I want to? So Lisa, I know we're getting short on time, so if we want to move forward.
Yep, I just want to, this is the Charting the Life course. We added the link on the top of the PowerPoints, but I just want to say that these resources can be utilized by anyone. So even if you're not getting services through the division or a targeted case management entity, these are planning tools that can be used by anyone who's planning for employment. So folks that are even still in school and looking at transition in their IEPs, they can also use these tools to help them plan for that. So it's good stuff. And this is something else that I wanted to share that Sandy is also involved with. She does a Champions of Employment webinar on a monthly basis as well, and she takes a deeper dive into some of the employment topics. Those are available to families and individuals as well. You can go to the division's webinars page and you can search for them there. I also want to encourage everybody to sign up for the email blast, because that's where some of this stuff will come from, those notifications about our webinars, notifications about changes to programs and services, different workshops or conferences, and maybe even leadership opportunities. Those all come through our email blasts or our notification system. So I encourage you to sign up for those and get on board with what's coming down the pike.
And I did put the link to finding the previously recorded webinars in the chat box.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, so before we wrap up, I just want to again say thanks to Sandy for doing this for us, giving us a quick overview. 30 minutes is not much time, and we had a little bit of a glitch, so thanks for hanging in there with us. But I do encourage everybody to go out there and explore this websites that we have available through the division. If you have questions and you're getting services from the division, the regional office, or a targeted case management, reach out to your support coordinator. And again, these resources are available for folks to download and explore. And mark your calendar because the next webinar is going to be on November 23rd. Thanks.
And Lisa,
Oh,
Lisa, we had a few questions. Did you want to answer them or no? Or answer them later in a Q&A?
I think with time, it looks like we probably ought to answer them later. We're at our limit, but yeah, we'll get that together. Unless you want to, Sandy, is there something in there you want to tackle real quick?
you know, I haven't seen any. I think probably they got sent to Kat instead of us.
It's just a few.
So
Since we did start a little late because we had a little snafu.
Okay.
Okay, first one is, and if you can answer these as quickly, summation of them as best as possible. Is it better to have an individual contact the regional office or their targeted case management or their TCM with questions about employment services?
your first start needs to be with your support coordinator. So yes, either your TCM provider or your regional office. However, if you're feeling like you're not getting the answers you need, or if you're hearing conflicting information, you know, you can definitely reach out to myself to kind of get a little bit more guidance about how you can utilize employment services. So I did put my email and my phone number in the chat box.
Okay. Seeing as how there's probably no short answers with these, we can just go ahead and compile a Q&A.
Okay. All right. And so you'll have that available on the webinar page with a copy of the PowerPoint, the recording, and then we'll post the Q&A as well.
Yes.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.